It's currently 7 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. Inside of Campus Cards and Games, Polarity is getting ready for their weekly Super Smash Bros. Tournament. It's only their 9th CFL Smackdown for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but have been running weekly events here for the better part of 3 years. They're expecting a full house because many of the attendees know that this may be their last one for a while. It's a bittersweet time for everyone, including the staff. They're leaving a place that treated them well. A place they call home. I want to explore how we made it to this moment, the people and the circumstances that led us to this night. In the beginning of 2019, I sat down with some of the current officers of Polarity, a company that specializes in gaming events based in Central Florida, in order to learn a little more about each person and how they've come together, as well as get some perspective on how they've grown since the founding.
I'm Matt Keep. A lot of people mostly know me as Moses. I am the Chief Operations Officer at Polarity. I mean, I've been gaming for most of my life. I got a Sega Genesis when I was whatever age you get that system at. And then, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Xbox, that kind of thing. So I was mostly console for most of my life. I started playing Melee, when it came out, and that's a game that I never wasn't playing, after it was released. And then I played a few other games kind of competitively, like I played Halo 2, but pretty much never wasn't.
I started playing games when I was very young. Got my first Xbox at I was in middle school, I think. No, I was in 9th grade. No, I was in 8th grade. I was in 8th grade. Got my first Xbox, and then I just started playing Halo, and that was the only game I played. Only game I played for so long, and then I was introduced to Fable, and then that was the only one I played for a long time. And then I joined a clan for Halo, a competitive clan that was sponsored by Monster, and it was called Save Us Voluntatis, an all-female clan. Yeah, it was pretty intense. We had our own website and everything. I just got out of the clan, didn't want to stay in it in college, so I kind of fell out of that, and then I got into the whole competitive scene with Smash and everything, so.
So I got my first introduction to competitive Super Smash Brothers by watching some videos online. I think it was around 2006, 2007. They had a lot of great combo videos from a group called DBR, and it was the craziest stuff that we had ever seen. So me and my friends, when we played, it was, as you would expect from casual gamers, even though I was the best in our friend group. I mean, we were a teeny tiny drop of water when it comes to the bigger scene. So when we saw those videos, I kind of went the opposite direction a lot of people did. They saw the videos and they're like, oh man, this stuff is so cool. I really want to do it. I took the entire opposite direction. I was like, this is so hard to do. I'm never going to do this ever in my life. And I didn't even try. That's beyond me. So I didn't try for the longest time. And then I went to college. The first year at UF was when Brawl came out. That was the game I was trying to take as seriously as you can take Brawl. So I was playing it a lot. I went to a lot of casual fests we had on campus. And then the second year at UF, I heard a knock on my door. Me and my roommate would play a lot, and we were playing. There was a knock on our door, and it was this guy. He said, "Hey, are you guys playing Brawl?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "Do you want to play teams?" I said, "Sure." So he goes and gets this guy, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll play teams." So they come in, we start playing, and it turns out that the guy he had brought, his tag is Rockcroc. And Rockcroc at one time was the best Melee player in Florida. And this is many years ago. And the guy that had knocked on our door, his tag is Harriet. And he's still around to this day. And then they kind of gave me that taste and then started feeding into trying to be more of a competitor.
The first game I played that was Super Smash Bros. Related was Super Smash for the N64. And I only played Kirby on Dreamland. So that was the only thing I played. After that, I did not get into Melee. I had Melee, but I never played it. I didn't like it. Had Brawl. That was more fun. Played Smash 4 a handful of times. I played Melee, not that much. I played Ultimate a few times, but I don't actually play the game itself. There's no time to play the game competitively if you're running the tournaments constantly. And I don't go to tournaments if I'm not running them or if I'm not helping out events because my OCD kicks in and I'm just I need to help. I always love to help running events. I don't care what game it is. I can pick up a bracket and run for any game. Just tell me how many sets you're supposed to play. Like, is it best of 5 or is it best of 3? Like, what am I supposed to do? But yeah, no, the community knows me more Smash-wise because I've just been in it for so long, but I don't actually ever play the game. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
All right, so I first started to kind of get a taste of being an organizer. It mainly started with Smash Fest. We crammed like 13, 14 people into a tiny dorm room, and everyone's sitting basically on top of each other playing Melee and Brawl. And then I hosted a small tournament in Gainesville, and I was so excited to host it. It was hosted at a fraternity there. The reason we were able to do that is because one of the fraternity brothers, a good friend of mine now, Raceland, is part of that fraternity, and said we could use their house to host this tournament. And I remember the tournament was called Rage, and it was Return of Awesome Gainesville Events. And I made this entire combo video. It was the year that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out, so Monster from Kanye West was like the theme of the whole tournament, basically. So I hosted that, and that was a lot of fun.
To understand fully the story of Polarity, we need to go back a bit. Before Matt and Alicia were the experienced tournament organizers that they are now, we'll explore the catalyst that brought everyone together and talk about the man that spearheaded that charge.
The story of CFL SmackDown and the beginnings of Polarity start with a man named Alex Chiricosta, or Raging Cherry.
My second year of college, around 2012, he asked me, like, oh, we're trying to start a club. We're trying to start a gaming club at UCF. Would you be a part of it? Of course, like, wow, why not? So I was one of the founding members of Gaming Nights. And then I transitioned, well, actually it was Console Nights at the time.
There was 2 basically competing gaming clubs. One was LAN Nights and one was Console Nights. And obviously everyone knows that console gaming versus PC gaming, there's bad blood there.
They were very elitist, and they just did not want us around because we were console gamers. They were just the casual gamers.
So he kind of came together, brought them together under one umbrella and created a club called Gaming Nights, which is just, obviously it's flourishing today.
Those officers from LAN Nights graduated and they weren't in the club anymore, and the new president was like, let's get together, let's form one massive club, and it was Bryce Ruppel. And Alex Chiricosta, the president and founder at the time of Gaming or Console Nights, was like, let's do it. And then we all formed in 2013 to make Gaming Nights. And I was the treasurer, I think, when it first started, and then transitioned from treasurer to VP, then to president my senior year of college. So I first got into TOing. I never was a competitor by being in Gaming Nights, and Alex Chiricosta just had this mission in life to bring Smash back. We had an untapped community here in the Orlando area that there's just so many people that were interested in playing the game competitively. There was just no local, or there was no scene really in Florida.
So if you ask Cherry, he actually was not expecting Smash to do well at all. He really only wanted to host Halo tournaments. Like, I came to him and I was like, I promise you we are going to show up. And we kind of like knocked his socks off. Like, the Halo tournament did not take off at all, but when he saw like how big the Smash community was and how invested we are, I think he really started to gain interest in the community after that tournament. So Cherry, honestly, he can thank me for the reason why his career took off, because I'm the one that introduced him to Smash and told him to host Smash tournaments.
Alex Chiricosta just got it into his head that it was his mission in life to do this and just bring it back. And we started doing a lot of Smash events at UCF, just primarily Melee, PM, 64, just hosting it in ABCD 316, that third floor in the Student Union. We hosted everything. I remember one time Hungry Box got on the mic, and that was before I knew that he was actually really, really good at the game. I knew of him, but I didn't know how good he was. And he got on the mic in the room and he was like, yo guys, this is the largest Melee tournament we've had in years, and it was 75 people. And we pushed that towards Alex Bailey, and we kind of suggested to him, hey, let us do a trial run at your Winterfest.
You know how many people came out for Smash?
97 people. So that was our biggest turnout
for any single tournament.
The community already knows us and how well we run our tournaments at UCF. So let us try and do this. And that's how I started really getting into competitive TOing. Used to be just me working the door and just checking people into brackets and stuff, never actually running the bracket myself. I just picked up a bracket, like we had pool runners and I just helped pick up bracket, and I ran top 64 for that event. Like I sat there at the stage holding $5,000 in my hand to give to the people of top 8. And I ran all of top 64 that day by myself. And that's how that was my first big TO moment. Alex Bailey loved us and he was just like, keep coming. Like, we're gonna do this again every year. We're gonna bring this game back. This is great. So that's how that started.
Oh, who's this? Who's this?
Yo. The happiest guy alive because Melee pays the bills now.
After gaining their newfound confidence from a wonderful showing at CEO Winterfest, the Gaming Knights wanted to broaden their horizons and create something that was entirely their own. However, there were certain ties that needed to be broken and money raised before that could happen. So, they did it the only way they knew how.
So before Polarity as the group was even started, there was a group of people that started the weekly tournament series.
They kind of were the progenitors of everything that we've kind of taken on. So they started an event called Smash the Record back in, I think, 2014, where they literally wanted to break a Guinness Book of World Records record with the longest consecutive gameplay session at their event. And in order to help fund that event, Cherry started CFL SmackDown. So this weekly was basically to help pay for Smash the Record.
They kind of formed it under the Gaming Knights kind of umbrella, the helm and everything. It was originally something that was basically attached to Gaming Knights. So I think Cherry started getting really busy and he couldn't help out anymore. So that's when I started to help with that original group.
Matt had just returned from Gainesville after living there for a couple of years. And he kind of had the organizational sense to kind of get us on track. So he kind of stepped in and was like, hey, we need to get this organized. We have something good here. Kelly was there, and then Lindsay had been helping out TOing up to that point as well.
And then after I moved to Orlando in 2012, it actually took me a while before I started kind of going to events here. But when I did, I just kind of started getting that feeling back, and it's like, I think we could I could help. Yeah, I could lend them some of my skills, I think.
And then from there, we decided that we wanted to split off from Gaming Knights and kind of become our own organization hosting these tournaments separate from the university.
And that was really the kind of the foundation of Polarity. We wanted to create something that was our own and that represented the Smash community, and that Gaming Knights didn't have to kind of watch over or be worried about or anything like that. Obviously, we didn't want to break that relationship off and say, screw you guys, just keep it, we're going to do our own thing. Even to this day, we do have a great relationship with them. So that transition was, I think we did a good job there.
As a university organization, we were kind of limited from certain rules, I guess, tied to the university, and we wanted to separate ourselves as an organization to grow bigger than just whatever the university would kind of hold us back from. So, we all have dreams of hosting large tournaments for our community, eventually a national, big lofty dreams of hosting a national tournament and stuff like that. We wanted to help the community kind of come back and grow, especially after the, I would say, Melee renaissance of 2013. So we definitely wanted to kind of ride that, not necessarily ride the train, but help grow the community in that boom as well.
2015 was our first standalone event for Smash the Record, and away from the school, and we didn't need any backing because of all the money we made with the locals, and then we had a lot of sponsors. We had that was the year that actually the creator of Five Nights at Freddy donated $5,000 to our stream for charity that year. That was a highlight. That was crazy.
Smash the Record happened, and it was a great event. After that, the weekly was still there. Everyone was still coming. that group that was running that weekly, CFL SmackDown, eventually kind of became the core group that founded Polarity.
That year, I think, between 2014 and 2015 is when it really just split from Gaming Nights to Polarity. It wasn't called Polarity. We didn't know what it was going to be called. SmackDown was still SmackDown. It was still called CFL SmackDown. That branding had been established very early on by our IT guy, who's still our IT guy of Polarity. His name's Tarek.
He suggested the name Polarity, and basically the idea behind it is that we would be the force that kind of brought people together.
So Cherry moved away, and he was just like, I can't be there to man this. I need somebody who I can trust to man this. And Kelly and Colin, Colin was like one of the best Melee players in CFL. So he was already running it. Kelly was very involved in running it as well. So he was just like, you guys take it over. You guys do this. We don't need the money anymore. Here, you guys have this.
You know, as the weekly started to grow, that's kind of where I saw my interests going a bit more. Like, instead of participating in the club as an officer, I really wanted to hone my skills as a tournament organizer and to help a community that I loved grow and become bigger, especially because it was very clear, like some of the signs we were seeing, like, oh, it's very clear to me that we're getting a lot of new people and Melee's kind of starting to pop off again, and I really wanted to focus more on that rather than in the club.
We got really lucky. One of our co-founders, Lindsay, her father is a lawyer, so he sat with Lindsay and I and gave us some really good advice on what kind of company we should form, that sort of thing. So that was a really big help. We didn't have a business plan. We didn't have really anything. We just knew what kind of company we wanted to be. Now we're paying taxes and we have a bank account, and the state of Florida knows who we are.
So having created a successful weekly, things seem to be going well for the organization. But unfortunately, it didn't stay that way forever. Running a weekly series and complex monthly events can wear on the minds of the staff, who constantly have to be on guard for the next event that's always around the corner.
So the biggest hurdle we've all had to overcome was, first off, being able to work together and being comfortable enough to work together and form a company, and be comfortable enough to share our opinions, to make sure that none of us are like holding anything back to cause any eruption, like volcano eruptions per se. We
had at least one incident at a CEO event that we were running where two of our staff members got into a pretty heated shouting match, and I think we had a meeting after that and basically sat down at a table and made everyone take a hard look at each other and said, hey guys, this is it. We're all that we have, basically. We have to, if we can't trust each other, then this whole thing is gonna fail. Not
many times, but like twice. I have written Kelly or Matt, started a draft and like, guys, I can't do this anymore. I'm just too overwhelmed. Because you work 6 to, the event starts at 6, you're usually there till almost 2 a.m. You're not getting paid. You're just doing it on your own free will and your own time. Before it was Ultimate, I was by myself being the TO. And I was running 60 to 100 man brackets by myself. And that, as a person, there's only so much you can handle. And I just got really tired, and I had to address my concerns, my issues with Matt, Kelly, with everyone, just be like, guys, I can't do this anymore. I'm getting burnt out. I need a break. I haven't had a week off since I started, and it was a year and a half in. And but then the same issue with Melee nights. Lindsay was doing that herself pretty much with Colin, and Colin was playing while she was TOing, and then Kelly and Colin moved away. So then she was just doing it by herself.
Our weeklies were in declining quality because there's only a couple of us running it. No one was formal. It was just what you could do. So sometimes one person would run a weekly, and it kind of sucked.
And I was just very dedicated to doing it because I love the community. I love TOing. I love just working with Polarity to get the community to have something like this. And the biggest thing was doing it week by week, not having the same dedication, not finding people with the same dedication as our little group had to continue these weeklies, and not having a week off from doing it. And just, it was so frustrating and so tiring. And so I was like, let's come to a compromise. At that point, I brought on Gonzo, to be a TO. He was working for Campus Cards and Games at the time. He's like, hey, if you guys need any help, let me know. I'd love to come help TO. And I was like, come on out, here. I will teach you how to run a bracket. I will teach you how I like the tournaments to run, because that makes it for a fun experience for everyone. And this is how it should go. I was like, guys, I've trained this man. Let's go ahead and give him every other day, and I'll take the other days. Like, let's do it. So by that point, I would have every other week off. So yeah, that was a huge dilemma we had to deal with, was finding somebody who could know the players, keep very friendly, be professional, but still be a professional TO. Like, there's a difference between being a TO and being a player, and then being a friend. Like, totally different. You have your players who respect your TO, who know how you want to run the bracket, who know they expect certain things from you, and you expect certain things from them. That's just like how it is.
So one of the hardships we faced was, I think, when the first venue either kicked us out or closed down. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was they just didn't want us hosting tournaments there anymore.
Pretty much was very strict, had a very strict policy on how we could talk, how we could yell, like how loud we could get. They were like, we're family friendly. We were there for like 4 or 5 months, I want to say. Not even that long. It wasn't that long. And they were like, yeah, no, you guys are too loud, and you don't have proper like etiquette. You cuss too much. You just don't. You're not family friendly. So get out.
So we were kind of scrambling to find a new venue, and as most grassroots organizers, I'm sure, can empathize with, like, you're not made of money, and Smash tournaments are not very lucrative. So it's like very hard to find a venue that won't put you in debt, but will also be like comfortable for your community and isn't like super far away. People can still travel or commute to it fairly easily. And we really struck gold with Campus Cards and Games.
I don't know who reached out. I think it was Alex as well. He reached out to them, or someone reached out to him and was like, hey, can we run locals at your venue? And they're like, yeah, sure, come on in. And we're like, okay.
So I believe Campus Cards and Games had just recently opened up after we had been removed, or the venue had closed down or whatever.
They opened up this bar, and we kind of snatched it right as the bar was opening to bring some traffic in.
And we were able to strike a really great deal with the owner, and we have historically had a really great relationship with the owner. He's been a great guy and a great place to work with. So we were able to get a venue that was, realistic for us. Like, most venues, you have to pay a set fee for, and we were able to work it out with him where we would basically just split whatever we made from the venue fee. So he would always get something, but we would never go negative, so that meant we were able to keep our tournament prices low and accessible for the community, and we also had a great space. It was right off of campus, so it was very easy for people to get to. But yeah, like, the stress of having to find a new venue is awful, especially when, like, it's so sudden and you just, like, have to struggle to find something because you don't want to spend too long without a weekly, and people will just not come once you bring it back. So
once the team had their venue situation under control, they flourished. Their consistent weeklies allowed them to hold multiple Smash records. This opened the door to being the supporting streams for large events like CEO for multiple years. Polarity had solidified themselves as a pillar of the Smash community. However, they weren't the only ones that were showcasing their ability to run great events in the Orlando area.
So we had the five co-founders were me, Gavin, Kelly, Lindsay, and Mohammed. That was eventually moved down to, we removed Mohammed, so now it's just the 4 of us. But we're currently, like, this year starting, we added 2 partners, Ryan and Alicia.
I began as a competitor because I thought I was really good. I was the best on my block, as everyone likes to use the terminology for. I was the best on my block in Brawl for a long time. I played Jigglypuff, who's a terrible character, and I did very well with her. So I competed a lot. Then I discovered Smashboards, and then we realized there's not really a tournament scene in where I was, which was FGCU. So there was no Fort Myers scene. There was a few people like maybe an hour south in Naples, but the scene wasn't that big. So we began to organize our own tournaments. My roommate, one of my best friends back then, his name was Steven. His tag was Viper. He was one of maybe two people who were better than me at the school. So what we would do is we would plan our own events at our dorms and stuff, and have people come in from like out of city, out of region, and we would host those events. So that was kind of my segue into hosting, was us running our own circuit. Eventually, my roommate Steven became the president or the vice president of the video game club for the college. So then we kind of used that as our way to host bigger, better events, get funding. So my tag used to be Mink, just M-I-N-K. That's my name on the boards. That's what I went by. Eventually, as I lived in Orlando and I graduated college, or was starting to graduate, I was a lot older than everyone else I played with. So I changed my tag to Papa Mink, and that was the name I started to go by. So once I moved to Orlando, I decided to start hosting again. I always hosted fests. I never really hosted big tournaments or anything, but I started to host events under the Come to Papa name. I have a t-shirt, Papa Roach t-shirt from like 2006 that says Come to Papa on the back. So that's kind of where I came up with the name of it. I kind of blatantly stole that. I was like, oh, if I'm going to be Papa Mink, I'm going to wear my Come to Papa shirt. And I was like, oh, let's just make an event. Everyone should just come to Papa for an event. So that's where the name originally came from. But the TOing by myself definitely started, I want to say in 2011. And I was here in Orlando. I just started hosting, I want to say at clubhouses. Like we would just go to like student housing clubhouses and be, hey, can we rent this out for a day? And we would just run it out of there. We got kicked out of one of them. That was pretty cool. We broke occupancy by like 50 people. So that was really sick. And then the last not major Come to Papa that we had, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it's Florida's biggest brawl-only tournament that has ever happened. It was like 80 people, 85 people in my unfurnished apartment back in like 2013, I think. It was a few months before Smash 4 came out. But everybody was there. Like Miami was there. If you look at the result thread for Coming to Papa 3 in 2013, it's nuts. It's like, I think ESAM got first. MVD was there. You look at the top players from North Florida, South Florida, Tampa, everybody was there. And it was before my roommates moved in. It was before I moved all my stuff in there. So it's just a 3-2 apartment, just with nothing in it. Absolutely nothing. I don't even think I had couches yet. We just had TVs everywhere in all the rooms. It was sick. When I first started dating her, I think we officially started dating a few months after that. But when we first started dating, I was like, hey, I'm hosting this thing. You should come by and check it out. And she came over and she was like, what the hell is this, dude? And I was like, this is what I do for fun. Like, this is video games. The very first event we ran, terrible. We didn't really understand the whole concept of you need a lot of TVs and a lot of consoles to run a tournament. So not the first like major Coming to Papa, but our first like smaller like Smash Academy kind of things we did back at FGCU. That was a lot. Honestly, I'm really happy I started my TOing and staffing stuff there, because if I had that exact experience on a bigger scale, it would have been a shut. You know, I never would have done this again. Unless you have great time management skills and you're very outspoken and you're great at seating and you're great at multitasking, you're probably not going to be great at TOing on your first time. So luckily the last 8 years has helped me get to where I'm at now with tournament organizing. One year, me and my original FBC boys, this is back, I think, Apex 2012 or 2013, we spent $17 each to take a 2-day megabus all the way up to Apex. And it was the most brutal, like, 2 days on a bus, dude. I don't know if you've ever been on a bus for more than, like, 7 hours, but it's terrible, man. Like, sleeping on a megabus is awful. So it's just us. We each brought 2 2-liters that were half full of liquor. And we just sat on the front of this bus, and we had like one of those Wii's that had a little screen attachment thing. So we were just like playing Mario Party on the front of this mega bus for like 2 days and sleeping on the side of the road at like bus stops. It was sick. But like you said, if there's a TV, you'll go there. So we made it all the way up to Apex, and we paid $80 for a flight back home, so we didn't have to bus back. It was sick. That's one of my favorite trips I've ever done. I would not do it again, but it was a lot of fun. Me and Polarity's relationship started a few years ago. I've always respected Polarity here in Orlando because they run the weeklies. They've been doing it for a very long time. I think we're in the 200s now, so it's like over 4 years. So when I hosted Come to Papa 1, the first major, back in 2016, they streamed my tournament, actually. So I've always worked with them. I've gone to all the weeklies. I've known all of them. I've known Gavin, Matt, Alicia, I've Lindsay. I've known all of them forever. I want to say the first time that we created that like mutual respect level was probably CEO 2015 or 2016. One of those 2 years, 2015 or 2016. I volunteered at CEO. I volunteer every year for CEO, but I volunteered for CEO to help run brackets. And I remember Alicia, it was whatever year Alicia was screaming, "Get out of the walkway," and everyone was like joking about it. And I remember the first time I heard this girl scream, "Get out of the walkway or I would DQ you." I was like, that is my woman right there. Like, that is sick. Like, I absolutely love, because like we said earlier, so many people don't take charge at a tournament. And there's too many people, and you can't just be like, "Oh, guys, can you please?" It's like, no, just scream at them. Like, get these kids out of here. Like, they're nerds, dude. They're gonna be scared when you yell at them. Just like, get them out of here, dude. There's too many people in the room. So I was running a bracket, and I know how to run a bracket because I've been running brackets for a very long time. So my bracket finished up. I brought my sheet back to Alicia, who was running the TO desk, and I was like, "Hey, I'm all finished up." And she was like, "You're already done with, I want to say like wave B." She's like, "You're done with your wave B bracket? It's been an hour." I was like, "Yeah, well, I just ran the events and now I'm done. Like I just did the job." She's like, "Dude, there's still people from wave A who are still on their bracket right now." I was like, "I don't know what to tell you. Like, all my matches are done. Here's the sheet." And she's like, "You are kick ass." And I was like, "No problem." And like, she was like, I ran the fastest bracket that year at CEO for Smash Bros. And I think that was when she was like, "Okay, I know this guy." And like, we kind of created that mutual respect. Soon after that, they were hiring for a Smash 4 lead or a Smash 4 TO or something along the lines of that for Polarity. This is in between Coming to Papa 1 and Coming to Papa 2, because I applied for it. And I was like, "Hey, I would like to be your Smash 4 leader position." And after I had an interview on Discord, the whole spiel, and afterwards, Matt Moses told me that he did not want to pursue anything because he thought it was a conflict of interest. And I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong, but doesn't it make sense for us not to be, like, for us to work together and to create the scene bigger? And like, I can plan my events around your events and vice versa. And he was like, "No." I was like, "Roger that." So then we just never did it. And then after Coming to Papa 2 was extremely successful. A lot of people still talk about how that's the best tournament they've ever been to in Florida, which makes me feel fantastic. But after that, he approached me and was like, "Do you still want to do that thing? Do you want to work for us full time? We'll pay you to work for us." And it became a thing where, I definitely made money with FBC doing, my own event hosting and stuff. But FBC was 100%. It was me and my business partner, David. His name is Lad. So just like having PTSD flashbacks of the previous 6 months of all the work I had to put in, I was like, you know what? Working with a team of people to do this might be fantastic. And so that's the path I chose.
With Ryan and Polarity working together, they had set out to deliver the community Come to Papa 3. During the filming of this documentary, Come to Papa 3 was still a month away, but now we can look back and see how much of a success the event became. Hundreds of players and spectators, including international attendees, came out to Polarity's biggest project yet. What transpired that weekend was an event that was loved by all who experienced it live and who were watching at home. Come to Papa 3 was a showcase of how experienced tournament organizers can come together and create a fun and welcoming environment for everybody. However, this hasn't always been the case when it comes to other Super Smash Bros. Events held in Florida. The state has been given a negative reputation by the Smash community at large.
Yeah. That was really good. That messed me up. Welcome to real life, buddy.
Players from other parts of the country accusing Florida of being loud and rowdy at events. Top players stating they have had hurtful things yelled at them during games in order to lose focus. Other attendees saying that negativity will be thrown at anybody not from the state. So with Polarity having been so close to the Smash community for as long as they have, I wanted to know how they see this characterization of the community they helped build, and whether or not they were deserving of their title.
So Central Florida does have somewhat of a reputation for being loud, for being obnoxious, for being less than good online, I would say. But I think it's a give and take, really. What starts as maybe a small annoyance at a tournament, then someone makes Twitter posts about it, and that gets reaction, and that gets reaction, begets reaction, and it kind of ping-pongs back and forth until, everyone's screaming at the top of their lungs and no one's really listening. So I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is. In fact, I know it's not.
Social media can be kind of nasty just in general. Not great fan of the internet, to be honest, but I have been a part of Central Florida Smash since 2012, so I've been around for a while, and I've never really had a negative experience in person before.
For anybody coming into the community who thinks that CFL is toxic, internet-wise, yeah, they can be. They're just trolls. I don't know what to tell anybody. I can't control someone's words on the internet. There's no way a community leader or Polarity being the community staple can control people on the internet. There's literally no way. But my first question would be, have you came to the community? Have you stepped foot in one of our locals? Have you played alongside these people before, outside of a large major tournament? Because you're gonna have, when you go to a major, you're gonna be isolated by your community. You're gonna be, all the CFL goons are gonna be over here, all the SFL goons are gonna be over here, but they all come together to join on, to root on a Florida player in top 32, top 64, or if they're playing somebody in pools, that's crazy. That's a crazy matchup that's super hype, and no, they haven't played before. They used to play, or they're rivals, or whatever the case may be. You're gonna feel a little intimidated by the group mentality that they have and how close they all are together, because no one wants, you feel like you might be disrupting that or something if you come in. But if you sit down at one of our locals and you come in and you play alongside the community and you just ask for, they're one of the first communities who will jump and be like, hey, I'll give you some pointers. If you ask them to help you, you can go and ask Dyer, one of the best. He constantly wins our locals, constantly. And that's what I like about the community, is that they are willing to always help people. And anybody who comes from outside, it's just, that's the ultimate question, is have you actually sat down at one of our locals and talked to one of our CFL players?
I feel like any region would be like that. If your boy's on stage and they're beating up some top player, of course we're gonna pop off and get loud. And it's about being respectful. And I think there are bad apples in every community where sometimes they can take it too far, but it's up to the organizers at events to control the situation and let people know hey, this or this is not acceptable.
There probably can be a slight lowering of the ceiling there. But overall, I love the energy. I love our community. I think everyone having each other's backs, building relationships like that. When you get cheered on by someone that you barely know, that instantly makes a connection. When you've got players like Riot and Tumultus, they're just walking around the venue, they just see players from, 30 feet away, they see their boy, and they're cheering from across the hall, and you know it's Riot, it's Kiki, Schrader, all those kinds of people. I think that's great.
So yeah, while yes, they are loud, yes, they can be obnoxious, I don't think it's in a negative sense in any way.
They're trolls, I'll get you that. They're goons, they yell, and they try to cause each other grief, but they all love each other in the end, so.
Hey everybody, a little bit loud. Just want to say this venue has hosted a lot of great memories. We're all going to miss it so very much. Beautiful memories, terrible memories. We've had them all. Shambles have dripped the walls. And yeah, CFL baby. We won't die. We won't die.
We did find out recently that we would have to move our weekly CFL SmackDown. The original place that it was held, Camp Scars and Games, was closing, and that was a pretty big hit for us. And I will say, when we announced that, we had a lot of people kind of pouring in that never really came up to us and said, hey, this event changed my life, or this, it's been a place for us. But after we announced that, I mean, people were really just heartbroken. People talking about how they spent years and years going to that place, how they looked forward to, having one of their first drinks there when they turned 21. I mean, it was overwhelming how much people really did care about that place. And it was something that was kind of unstated. It was something that I think we all kind of took for granted. But when we lost it, everyone kind of took a step back and said, this has been a great experience for the past few years, and that really has stuck with all of us.
Since its inception, people have come and gone from the organization. Others have stepped down from active involvement. But it's important to note that its success and longevity is due to so many talented people having a hand in the company. Each person involved gave a piece of themselves in order to keep the momentum constantly moving forward. Unfortunately, with a global pandemic, in-person events have been canceled for the foreseeable future, meaning that the organization is currently on hiatus, strategizing how to continue running events in what will be a post-COVID-19 world. But, as the world recovers, I want to leave you with a few words from Matt that we should keep in mind when we eventually return to playing with one another.
It's very, very easy to be divided or become divided over small issues or big issues and forget all the times and all the bonds that we do share and how much stronger those are than anything that comes between us. And I really wish that people would take that to heart and would remember the reasons that we are a community, the reasons that they play this game, their friendships, and everything that is at the core of why they love Smash.
CFL! CFL! CFL!